Well, Jeff, we're one day closer to game day. Just was looking at some of the numbers of Middle Tennessee. They have pretty good run games. That's got to be one of the keys for you guys to try and shut that down, right?
Yeah, and they really exploited us last year. They rushed for right around 200. They had 560 yards on us, and I know I brought that up a couple of times, but we've got a lot of respect for them. And Virginia Tech's a top 15 team, and it was 14-7. They were driving in the third quarter and played them. They hadn't turned the ball over. You know, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, I get all that. But if they hadn't turned the ball over, and that's a tough environment to play ball in. And they went up there and held their own. I've already mentioned how much respect I have for Stock and what he's done there for 16 seasons, and we have a lot of respect for their program.
I think I heard their offensive coordinator talking about that turnover in that moment, and you guys didn't have any turnovers week one. You had some this last week, so that's also a point of emphasis this week?
It always is. It always is, you know. We don't keep a lot of stats around here, but the two stats that always show up are big plays and turnovers. And when you win the turnover battle and you win the big play battle, you pretty much win the ball game. And those are some absolutes in football that have held up for me for 32 years. So we always talk about winning the turnover battle, winning the big play battle.
Jeff, what's the status on Mekhi Hart at this point? Anything new?
He'll be a game time decision. We hope he's good to go. But Sip's been playing really good at right tackle, so one of those two will be out there.
Yeah, you've been really complimentary of Gallimore's ability to fill in. At what point did you realize that he would be capable of playing this year, given all he'd been through with injuries and whatnot?
You know, I just went back when I was making my decision whether to bring him back as a super senior, and I watched him in junior college and watched him in high school, and I saw a really good player in there. I think he had been injured in his career, and he just hadn't had much, caught some good luck, honestly. It's bad luck. And him and Don both, I really talked to them about, you'll come back as a backup, but would you do that for me and help elevate our culture? And that's something he committed to doing for me. And he worked really hard in the offseason. Philo really trimmed him up and shaped him up, and he's been healthy. Coach Maddox and my brother, who works with those offensive linemen, have done a really good job with him. And Coach Leftwich, our GA, and those three men have really worked hard at developing him, and he buys in. He's a great team player. He's all about us, and he's not everything about himself. And he's just a good young man, and he's a guy that, if you knew him, you'd really be rooting for him.
For him to agree to come back as a backup, how has he responded now to having a starting opportunity? What has that meant for him?
He just has such a great attitude. He just doesn't look at it any other way except just to help the team. And I know that gets old, and you hear that a lot from our players, but it's really what they've all bought into. They're about the triangle. They're about the brand. They're not about themselves.
Jeff, wanted to ask about Demetrius Allen. We saw him in this week's depth chart move to backup, or one of the backup centers. What did he do during that?
He's been working at it. We've had a rash of injuries there at the center position, so everybody's been snapping. If you got a number from 50 to 79, we're bending over. We're snapping a football to somebody, and he's just gotten slowly better and better and better. And again, Coach Leftwich has done a great job of just working with our centers, just getting extra snaps. And he finally took the piece of taking this practice to the game. And we hoped he'd have an opportunity to play quite a bit Saturday, and he did. And it's like he'd been there forever. He just looked very comfortable. It looked like a natural fit. And he's a really good athlete, another good human. It's all about the team. And I'm sleeping better at night knowing I've got a couple of backup centers again.
We talked to Jamal Ligon yesterday. What's been your impression of how he's played so far this year?
He's just gotten so much better. You don't want to play a true freshman or an inside linebacker that many games. You just don't want to do that. Their bodies aren't ready, but he's developed. You can tell he's a lot thicker. He's just such a good young man. His mother and father raised him very well. He played for a really good high school coach. And so he really came in ready. He knew the game. And I couldn't be more proud of him. The kids tease him. They call him Jamal Traylor. And I hate that for that kid. But I tell him that he must be my nephew because it's my brother that claims him as his son. So it must be my nephew.
He's the youngest single-digit guy, so they must look up to him some too. How did he earn that at such a young age?
That's an amazing accomplishment. He's a true sophomore and a single-digit guy. So, I think you can just tell by when you interview him how serious he is, how mature he is, how he thinks through his words before he speaks. He just does that all the time. And again, it's a credit to his family. And we were very, very blessed that we were able to flip him that very last moment. And what an answered prayer he was to get us to the season like he did last year. I'll always be indebted to him, Trevor. They almost took every rep in there. Tyler got hurt. And I know I've told that story a few times, but you're asking about Jamal, so that's where he's improved. Just his body, his confidence, sees it quicker, just goes. He's a violent player. He plays violent. This is kind of the game he had his coming out party last year, honestly. He really showed up in this game last year. Probably the first time y'all probably saw what I've always seen.
You guys are going to be handing out pizza later this afternoon and some brio. What kind of led into that decision?
You know, when we were at SMU, we were trying to get the fans to come to the game. And Coach Morris did a really good job with that kind of stuff, just trying to relate to the kids. You know, I'm a high school coach at heart, and it's just once the student body understands we're just normal humans, we're not. You know, I tell my players all the time, we've worked hard for a bad reputation as coaches and players. We have to overcome that. There's so much negative about sports out there, about just knuckleheads, right? That enough of the good guys don't get celebrated. So this is an opportunity for us to get back and them to see just another side of us. And maybe, you know, a few kids will be like, hey, coach is a nice guy, man. I'm gonna go watch the game. And they come to the game, they're like, hey, those are nice players, and they play the game the right way. This is fun. I'll come back. Maybe they'll bring 4, and they'll bring 8, they'll bring 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, all the way up, you know. So I hope that's what happens.
How has the depth in the middle for linebackers changed things for Jamal and Trevor this year? Are they able to go a little harder on each snap, or is there anything different?
They don't go harder because they're gonna get perfect effort every play. But I think what it's going to do is allow them to last longer into the season because we're not going to have to like manage their reps so much in practice. They'll be able to get their reps in practice because they're losing reps in the game. And this is about it's a fine line you're always balancing because right, our culture is win the day, be the very best we can be today. But at the same time, we have to plan for November and December because those are the most important games are. And they're all important. Don't hear me wrong. But it becomes extra focused at that time of year. So you want to be healthy and fresh and playing your best football at that time of year. That's where I think you're going to see the benefit. Is just borrowing some reps in the game to save them for later in the year, I hope.
I know it's outside your lane a little, but any idea what to expect the crowd size this weekend?
You know, you and I talked about that last Wednesday at my coaching show. We said around 15, and we were pleasantly surprised at 16. My coaches talked about it. We did last night. They said, what do you think, Coach? And I said, well, Middle Tennessee coming to town, and we played so well last week, I would hope somewhere between 20 and 25. That's what I would hope for. Again, we don't have control of that. And I do feel like 16 in the Alamo Dome sounds like 32. So I think 20 to 25 would sound like 40 to 50. And I know my kids got a kick out of the young man from Middle Tennessee. He made an accurate statement that, you know, we don't have the same environment that Virginia Tech did, but I hope our fans take that as a challenge. I hope they see that. And we want that. We want to be the team of San Antonio. We want this city to feel how much we love the city. And I mean, I love it here. My coaches love it here. We love the school system. We love where we live. We love the hill country. We love the Riverwalk. The people. They're very gracious people here. They want to be good. We don't know how because we haven't yet. And we talk about this quite a bit as a staff and it's our team. We want to be that for this city.